Yo, what is good, everybody? What is good, my anime people? So, I've been wanting to bring this series to the channel for a little bit, but since it's almost at a close and it's having seemingly one of the more weirder endings that I've seen in a show, um, but Baki is definitely a show that I didn't really think anyone was going to care about or anything, including with like how certain things were looking at certain times. And I was just like, man, people are gonna be upset with this thing. And to think that I actually really enjoyed uh, literally watching almost every episode. Like there was some pretty rough spots throughout the whole entire show, but at the end of the day, man, it wasn't the worst thing ever. So I actually had to give it a little bit of props on that. Not only is it not the worst thing ever, the only thing I had kind of a problem with is I have people who are fans of me that only watch dub, and I wish that there was an English version of this so I could show them and we can have something to talk about. But I honestly don't know if Netflix has even announced or said anything about separate languages for Baki. So, with that in mind, don't get mad at me, get mad at Netflix. I really wanted to hear the dub as well, and to know that there's 27 episodes ish, or like 27 or 26, one of the two. It's just hard to see this show and know that it's first of all, this show started off like much further in the series. It's almost as if how I'm starting it at the very end, the manga didn't start with these like crazy people that wanted to know defeat and stuff. This was just pretty much their way of a new arc. And to think that the show actually started with them when we could have gone all the way back to when Baki was in school, to when Baki was learning martial arts, to when Baki, you know what I mean? Before he even gets into the tournament of the people who actually care about him in this week's episode, there's a lot of content of this whole entire series as a whole, from the manga to the other animes that are actually out there. And to know that there might not even be a dub for it is seemingly a disservice to it, in my opinion. I feel like the best way to get to the Western audience sometimes is to make it in English. I mean, not a lot of people even knew Dragon Ball was a Japanese show because they only had seen it in English. So when they were forced to have to watch Super and sub or not watch it at all, they learned real quick everybody's voice actors in Japan. So I thought it was pretty obvious, in my opinion, that they were going to continue to push the envelope. And because they were pushing the envelope, it really did turn out well, in my opinion, for Baki, the way that they started it. And I mean, this is also another example of kind of what happened to Bleach, but seemingly people aren't as mad. Like, literally, Bleach did this in the very beginning, where you think Bleach is a slow startup show, and come to find out, the show actually skipped a lot of the material between Ichigo and his group, like the human people who actually become like his best friends and that he actually goes home to live with at the end of the series. Um, those people had a much bigger like time and like more time spent with Ichigo than they actually gave credit to. But I think knowing that those characters that were growing up with Ichigo weren't going to become the next big things and stuff like that, I think it was an easy choice for them to be like, hey, let's just cut these guys off completely. Like, why are they here? And that kind of sucks, and at the same time, it doesn't, because they really didn't amount to much besides maybe Ukiura, who like the guy with the glasses in Ichigo's group whose father becomes like kind of a big deal and then his clan becomes like a big deal, like they kind of show you that they had the idea of doing big things for certain characters, but it's just hard to do that when you have such a big character already and you're trying to make him stronger, but then you got to introduce characters that are already stronger than captains or on the level. You know what I mean? So there's this whole crazy thing, and I feel like Baki didn't have to do that because every single fighter we watch in this show is already very strong. Everybody already has had their feet, in the water and already has done some crazy stuff. So at this point of the show, it's not ridiculously crazy to see some characters just kicking faces off and punching through hearts and stuff. Um, we literally get to see it this week with someone literally just because he didn't submit defeat. He got his face like punched off. Like it's literally that type of plays. Like these guys are going in on each other, and it's really only because of their principle of how they take this and how serious they are about it. So this week's episode, we got the aftermath of what happens to Baki when he got hit by like three poisonous attacks, and sure he was allowing, like he was doing it to pretty much prove the point that he felt no pain, that he's become stronger, that regardless of what happens, he's gonna go move forward. But with this guy, it was the wrong person to allow touch him. Every time he touched him, the poison that he's had been training his hands to endure was just absorbing into Baki's skin, and not even just into his skin. The guy had every time he was hitting him, he was ripping up skin, so it was literally going like straight to his blood. Um, Absolutely mad lad. uh, this show is so crazy that it actually went into having Baki fighting against that disease in his body, and the doctor's already telling us he can't survive, he'll die. Um, Baki has no appetite, so he's literally skinny, super skinny, skinny. His girlfriend is breaking down every time she sees him because he's so skinny. It's just a bad look for Baki right now, and to think that he is going to somehow recover from this, and if he recovers within like one episode, we can just tell where Netflix rushed this, or if they actually are going to give the benefit of the doubt of giving this show more episodes later on in the future. We could see a good stopping point because I mean we literally saw Baki's dad, the most strongest man in the world, finally throw a punch and it ended up killing the man. Like um the most we've seen of that guy is not much at all. He blocked a kick and he threw a punch and he showed up places that he was kind of not invited to. So I'm just curious as to where all of this is going to end up for Baki, and if Netflix even has an idea of what they're going to do for a finishing of this, or if they already had planned to move forward with more stuff, because all of the convicts are simply dealt with this way in this episode. I mean, I'm not sure if Oliver literally kills the guy in the cave. I mean, it looked pretty convincing as a kill, if you ask me. So there's that. But if it wasn't a kill, then that would be cool. I feel like he had to have killed him. Oliver Biscuit was not a fan of the convicts running around free at all. Um, and once he did that, it kind of did like the flashback of all the convicts. So that's kind of another reason why it gave me the idea that he probably killed him. Not to mention the last guy who gets taken out in the cave, he's lost his eyesight, man, and he was nowhere near as what he could have been because of his own teammate taking his sight away. So that was pretty messed up. From what else I can tell though is either we're gonna get into a brand new arc or The one person I can see Baki going against pretty relatively soon here would be his own brother, I believe. The guy who was super, super huge and fought the blonde guy first in the phone booth and stuff. I see that guy going against Baki because he really isn't. He's like an anti-hero of this show. Like Baki's a hero, and he would be considered an anti-hero. Um, and I feel like the dad would be considered like the final boss. So if you think of it like that, he's got one more competitor to go against, and this competitor is seemingly even more doper than he was before because we see a flashback of kind of what happened between him and the brother. But I've actually seen a little bit of the manga, and I can tell you that it would have been absolutely hype if we got to watch this from start to finish on how they actually get to fighting each other. Another reason why I'm kind of mad the show jumped all the way to where it is compared to where it could have been. Um, and I'm still giving it praise because at the end of the day, somehow this show has gone to like it's gone to showing the work, like some of the nastiest CGIs to some of the really dope anime scenes. And I love just giving props to any type of studio that can makes a little bit of dope looking things, even if the whole thing doesn't come out looking dope. I mean, like, even though everybody hates it, Berserk had some dope looking moments. Like, people will never admit to that because they're gonna get flack over saying it, but Berserk, the recent ones, had some really cool looking stuff in there. It's just it could have looked so much better with someone else, and that's where Netflix is not really getting my full attention. Is it feels like they would have to do, or they would want to do the same thing they did with Baki, and Baki looks rough with CGI at times, and then a little bit of times it has this animation that I love. And that's pretty much what Berserk had. It had that animation at times, but it really was CGI'd. So if you flip it and have it more anime than CGI, sure, you get a little bit of a better rating on my side, but that's kind of the same thing that's already been done. So unless they plan on doing a full-on like raw storytelling, like a brand new type of tell of Berserk, or when they're doing their tell of it, they just switch up a little bit of this and that to get to the stuff further or like faster. Just imagine we got to watch all the way over, depending on where Netflix picks to start Berserk. We got to watch it all the way over again because they're not probably going to pick up right off where the other people left. So Baki really, really looking dim for their future. I don't see them really getting another season because of all the stuff that their Netflix is already working on that seemingly is getting better reviews than Baki. And I haven't looked at all the reviews on YouTube and stuff like that, but from what I've seen, it's usually around the same of, oh, the CGI, oh, this isn't where the show started, oh, this isn't the Baki I know, just simple little nitpicks. So if that stuff gets brushed under the rug, we will be seeing a season two. But Netflix has a way of not going through with stuff relatively quickly. So yeah, I think Seven Deadly Sins is the best example of that. So just expect anything really to come out of Baki, and if we do get something, hopefully it's worth watching and worth talking about, at least worth going through it and watching it over. If they do some continuation, and if not, then thank you for Baki for what we saw. At least we got the convict arc animated. That was pretty cool. So I think I will be doing the last couple episodes on Baki here because I really was enjoying it, and I was thinking about bringing it to the channel, but I only didn't do it because I had so many shows already, and I knew that we are going to be adding even more shows because shows are coming to end soon. So with this show also being a show coming to its end, I thought it would be pretty smart just to add it to the library, add it to see, who enjoys it, and then when other animes come out like it, you guys won't be surprised that I'm talking about it. So thank you so much for the support, guys. I will talk to you in the next one. I'm thinking about making Golden Kamuy a little bit later tonight, or maybe just dropping it tomorrow. We'll see with what content comes out tomorrow. But if you guys are looking forward to Golden Kamuy, make sure you guys drop a comment down below telling me you want to see it today rather than another day or later. I'll hop on it, but if not, I guess I will talk to you guys tomorrow and to whatever we get then. So with that, everybody, take care and peace.